Yes, good afternoon, our dear viewers. The Youth Roundtable is back on Civic Space TV. I am your moderator, Matanda Abubaker, and as usual, every week we bring to you your weekly dose of sense from the young people of Uganda. Now, Uganda is said to be one of the countries with the best youth and student organizing laws and institutions. Among the bodies that is cited is the Uganda National Students Association, UNSA. UNSA was formed in 1988, but that was not the first time students were organizing. Earlier on, when Uganda got her independence, there had been formed a body called the NUSU, or the National Union of Students of Uganda, that was very vibrant and was organizing the young people of this country, especially those in schools. It, however, at some point became very political and animated and seemed like a wing of the Uganda People's Congress. And when General Idi Amin took over power, he banned all associations, including NUSU. NUSU came back in 1980 with the return of Dr. Apollo Milton, but again had the same political challenges. In fact, at some point, some commentators argued that the leaders in NUSU had more guns than pens. And so with the NRA onslaught in 1981, NUSU again suffered a blow. Now, after NRA took over in 1986, 2 years later in 1988, students, especially led by those at Makerere University, coalesced again and formed the Uganda National Students Association. The Uganda National Students Association is provided for under the Education Act, which in its 30th section provides that there shall be a body for all post-primary students, meaning from senior 1 to whichever level you can go to, that will be called the Uganda National Students Association, and that will be run based on the UNSA constitution. Now, this body over the years has produced so many leaders, has done a lot of advocacy, and has engaged. But there are also people who argue that over the years, it has continuously lost its shine. Indeed, currently, a lot of things are happening, and you don't hear any voice coming from the Uganda National Students Association. It looks like the student movement is now dead. Even when students are dropping out of school, even when schools have been closed, there does not seem to be any voice coming from the student leaders. And so today on the Youth Roundtable, we thought that we should cast a light on UNSA and find out from the students what's going on. Does the body have leadership? If it has leadership, who are they? What are they doing? And possibly, maybe, as usual, we can recommend some of the ways to revamp, if that's what we resolve that is needed, this students' body. Now, on the show today, we have a cross-cutting fora of panelists coming from different institutions and leading in different capacities. We are joined by Julia Muhumuza, a now a resident panelist on this show. Muhumuza is the Gender Minister at Makerere University Business School and an aspirant, she will tell us more, to offer leadership in the Uganda National Students Association. Julia, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Confirm that you're with us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Council. I'm much privileged to be back here and more privileged to always be back here. So my name is Julia Muhumuza once again, the Guild Gender Minister of Makerere University Business School, and also an aspirant, vice presidential aspirant of Uganda National Students Association. Regarding the very many questions about UNSA, I feel so excited to be a part of the discussion, to deliberate and exchange my views and opinions concerning the issues around UNSA today. Thank you.
Okay, you are welcome. You'll be telling us why you want to run to lead a body that seems to be defunct. We are also joined by Kato Laban. Kato Laban is a GRC member at Makerere University and the 86th Guild Minister. These people from Makerere like counting. So Kato Laban also chairs the chapter for the Alliance for National Transformation at Makerere University. Kato, it's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thanks, Council Abubaker Matanda. It's my pleasure to be here for the first time. I really enjoy the topic of discussion for today, surely when it concerns the students. It is my pleasure.
Yes.
To see one of the panelists, my OG, that is Julie Muhumuza. It is my great pleasure to see her discussing students' issues.
Okay. You have given us a background that really shows that universities are closed. Kato, it's a pleasure to have you on board. We are also joined by His Excellency Yusuf Welunga. Yusuf is the immediate outgoing Guild President of Islamic University in Uganda, main campus in Mbale, and an aspirant for the presidency of Uganda National Students Association. Yusuf, welcome to the Youth Roundtable.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Welunga Yusuf. I'm very honored for this call. This isn't my first time to be here. It is my second time. I've tried as much as I could to look for some stable network so that I am heard. Initially where I was, my network was a bit disturbing, but I think I'm now clear.
Yes, you are now clearer, and we hope that we shall be able to see your video at some point. But just as we are hearing from His Excellency Yusuf, we have been joined by His Excellency Agaba Kenneth Amponda. Agaba is the Guild President of Uganda National University. Your Excellency Agaba, it's a pleasure to have you. You can turn on. Yusuf, please mute your mic. Yes, Your Excellency Agaba, it's a pleasure to have you on board. If you can unmute and turn on your video and introduce yourself such that you confirm you're with us.
Thank you so much, my senior. Once again, for purposes of record, my name is Agaba Kenneth Amponda, and I serve as the Guild President of Uganda National University, main campus, Mukono. So at Uganda Christian University, right now we are studying online, and today I had a presentation in civil procedure, which is not an elective, it's a compulsory course unit in law. For those who don't know, you understand how difficult it is. Though I had it at the back of my mind that I must attend this meeting and we'll discuss, as the topic is all about us, and most of us who are in leadership as of now.
Okay, Your Excellency.
Uganda National Students Association. So it's a blessing to be part of this discussion, and I hope I'll pick from where you have reached. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. We lost you at some point, but we shall have time to hear from you in full. But now allow me go for you, Julia. You did state that you're running for the vice presidency of the Uganda National Students Association. So going at that level, possibly you know about this body. Can you tell us about UNSA? What is this thing we are talking about? What is UNSA in your view, and why are you seeking leadership?
UNSA is basically an umbrella of all students in Uganda, right through elections where, like, you see the delegates who get to vote the new leadership is an indication that you are going to represent many students because you're voted by district, the DEC members who are student leaders in different institutions from different districts, and as well as representatives from universities and institutions. So clearly, by the time you take up leadership or you get the mandate, you are representing all students from universities, from institutions, from secondary schools, and so on and so forth. So it is an umbrella that seeks to represent all students, which clearly means that you're going to be the voice and you're going to stand up for all the students or for the interest of the students in the country. And given the status quo, this is a time where we needed UNSA more than ever before, because you see most of the issues that are affecting the nation is at the closure of schools, but directly being an impact on students. The teenage pregnancies are all attached to students, many people dropping out, the new systems of learning, all these issues are affecting students. So this is when UNSA would come up to try to bring to the table solutions that could, in one or the other, impact the students in the nation, or try to bridge the gap between the new normal and what it takes for the students to adopt.
Okay. You paint a very green image of the body, and yet we keep hearing voices that, you know, are not very pleasant. But I'll be coming back to you to further probe some of the submissions you've made. But for now, maybe let me go to you, Kato. There are voices that suggest that the student movement in Uganda is dead, and that bodies like UNSA have since lost in the lives of those who represent, if I can use that, because Julia says when you are a leader in UNSA, you represent so many students. Students don't seem to feel your presence. I also know for a fact that guild governments are a creature of the UNSA Constitution, which itself is a creature of the Education Act. But is there a link between UNSA and guild governments? And if so, where is this, and where is the relevance of this body? Kato, over to you.
Matanda for that question.
Please unmute. Yes.
Yeah, but I've unmuted. I want to agree that it is, but you were breaking. I just beg you to repeat for me the question, because you were breaking at a certain point.
Okay, the question is that Julia told us that UNSA is the body that represents all the students in this country. And I also know that guild governments are a creature of the UNSA Constitution, and you serve under guild government, which UNSA Constitution itself is a creature of the Education Act. And so as someone who is in the middle of student leadership, my question to you is, how relevant is UNSA? Do you look at it as that vibrant organization? Is there a link between, for example, the guild government you serve and the body, or is it not there? Just, you know, analyze for us the status of UNSA as we speak today.
Okay, now I've gotten the question very well. I don't think what I can say, at least I've been following UNSA since by then, when even you Council Matanda, by then when you are the president of UNSA, that was 2014, with the likes of Valeria and Agaba and Anna Adeke. But I have not been feeling the presence of UNSA up to date. Until now, for this, is it the 31st? This one, which is still in the government of UNSA, for it is worse. I think there is no link. Reason because the presence, the interference, one of the state into the affairs of students. That is one of the things that has made it UNSA to be not vigilant, to be dormant. Most of the leaders that we have in UNSA, they mind about only the monetary issue, but not the students' affairs. As of today, even if you ask someone who is the president, even you find that guild presidents or guild leaders in different universities may not know that Moses is the speaker of UNSA as current. So there is no contact. There is no direct contact between the guild government, the students with the UNSA. When you look at even now, as per now, the elections of UNSA are determined by the state, by the Ministry of Education. So you can see that there is nothing. There's nothing. The budget, of course, the lack of funds. You can imagine that each student in secondary school and tertiary institution is expected to pay at least a mandatory of 2,000 shillings. But you can look at even universities, because they have felt that there is no relevance of UNSA. So even some universities don't pay. But of course, I want to appreciate the presence of Makerere University, that nowadays it is mandatory that every student who enters, it is mandatory to pay the UNSA. UNSA fee. But the problem is that the UNSA, there is the UNSA leadership, the previous UNSA leadership has been concentrating on only monetary issue. When you go to UNSA, first eat, you see how you can lobby some money from the state, then you leave. You leave it dormant. There's no platform to make it a strong association. Then also, as I told you about the ministry interference in the students' affairs, they directly intervene. They decide what the students should do. I remember when we were during the previous elections in Kisubi, where I was part. I took part. You find that even it was until the permanent secretary, that is Mr. Alex Kakos, had to come, and he's the one who decided, who gave orders on what to do. And those are students' affairs. How can someone who is not a student decide for students? I get it. Now, even the fights in UNSA among the student leaders have been there. We should agree, even remember your time where there were so many fights. You find somebody other group wanted somebody Ababa to be the patron. Then there is another group of Lera and Abba. Now the MP for Kitugum, they wanted somebody. There were so many fights, even up to date. Now when you look now at Ezra's regime, for him, he has led to the collapse of UNSA, because for him, I don't think he agrees with his leaders. For him, he's looking at the state only, not the students' affairs. I'm so sorry to go personal. But
okay, Kato, I have to cut you short. You have, okay. Yes, you have made very biting allegations, and be sure that I'm going to question you on many of them, and also maybe disassociate the youth round table from some of them. But Julia has her hand up, and I think I should let her ask before I come in.
I just wanted to give my opinion on that question. When you look at the guild presidents today, they formed what they call Guild Presidents Association Uganda, and also the speakers have their own association. So UNSA dying out year in, year out, these guild presidents focus their efforts in these associations. And take a case study recently where students have been stuck, questions about when we are going back to school. We've seen Gipao in news trying to ask the minister to at least give us a roadmap concerning. So we have seen these associations trying to do their thing. Why? I think because UNSA itself, right, from politicizing and also the issue of political parties, where if you are people power or your position, it's hard for you to really participate effectively in UNSA. It has pushed these great leaders into focusing in their own associations to still serve the students, but through their own associations. So that is why we really there is need to revamp UNSA, because if UNSA was vibrant, we would still see this leadership come out in cases when we have very many questions and we need to hear from them. Questions concerning students, you never hear anything from UNSA. Then how then would you expect someone to believe that UNSA is still as vibrant as before? And also the last issue is very few people, actually, very few students know about UNSA. Personally, I got to know UNSA when I joined student politics at university. So you can't know how many students do not know. Why? Because UNSA is not directly participating into the different things that take place in the society, in the community concerning the students. If they were at the forefront of everything concerning the students, then students would know there is actually a body that represents us. And in the end, we would not be answering questions why UNSA is dying out. And most importantly, I think it's because of all these issues that the stakeholders or whoever is in charge is not putting in any effort to see that we have the elections of the 32nd government of UNSA. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Julia. And as you are speaking, His Excellency Agaba came back on board. Your Excellency Agaba, your co-panelists don't have any kind words for UNSA. And you're a guild president, and I should tell you that as a guild president, you're the chairperson of UNSA in your institution. and a member of the Uganda National Council, because UNSA has a council, which is the highest organ, and so you're a member of that council. What is wrong? What's going on? As a council member and chairperson of UNSA in your institution, what's happening? Are some of these allegations we are hearing true? And if so, what are you people who are in position doing to alleviate the situation?
Thank you so much, the moderator, and the current speaker, that is Honorable Julia, and also Honorable Kato, whom I think among the panelists is a new face to me. It's my first time to hear from him and also interact with him. So it's a blessing to be talking to him and discussing or dining on the same table with him. First and foremost, on the issue of UNSA, I don't know, but if the founders of UNSA came back today, if some of them have died and have resurrected, let's say, for God's sake, they are back, and they look at where UNSA is and where it's going, seriously speaking, some of us would get punishments on behalf of our fellow student leaders, for example, people that have led UNSA to where it is right now. UNSA, if you go to the four founders and people who were behind that idea, today it's totally running the other way. Today we are seeing an UNSA where people, I even at times I wonder and I ask myself, when these people are in offices, do they ever think about the future of these associations? First and foremost, UNSA, the constitution provides for 1 term of office, but people will show you that they will lead for 3 terms without renewal, without even students, the national students knowing what's taking place. And remember, there has been no this issue of COVID fronted as a reason as to why they are leading until they die. But at least even the government institutions like MUBS, like Chambogo, like Makerere, within the limited time they had at relaxation of the COVID guidelines, they managed to have elections and bring in new leaders. But when you look at UNSA, for them, they are praised that maybe after COVID pandemic, let's have another pandemic. After the other pandemic, we have another, so that we keep in office. And of which, when you meet them, they sound to be very understanding people. But when they go back to their drawing board, for them, they show you that there's no election that is going to be held. So as guild presidents, nonetheless, we cannot keep quiet. We decided that most of the members, most of these guild presidents, most are from these big institutions, they're all from opposition. And they said that if we cannot dine with people in UNSA, then we can empower the Guild Presidents Association so that we continue fronting student ideas. Because if we keep quiet as leaders amidst this pandemic, then we shall have lost our cause as student leaders. So right now we have activities like making sure that schools reopen amidst vaccination. We are advocating the fact that we can still vaccinate people whether they are in institutions for easy follow-up and knowing the exact number of students that are vaccinated. A good example is that if we had students back to school, you know that almost all institutions have health centers in their institutions. So if governments can supply these vaccines in those health centers, then we can have, let's say, finalists get back to campus, they are vaccinated. Then we have also another group of students report back, they are as well vaccinated. So for UNSA, we left to their agendas, and now we are still concentrating on student leaders' agendas, like advocating for reopening of schools. And also the private institutions, we are looking at the way we are organizing ourselves to castigate for and advocate for things like reduction or waiver of taxes on the private institutions during the COVID pandemic. You understand that ever since the pandemic started, up to now, we are still paying the same taxes. And these taxes have affected institutions in ways that they cannot reduce the tuition or other fees and you find students and parents suffering from these unnecessary expenses, whereby if the government had come in and given those taxes, or in case even reduced the taxes, we would have reduced tuition charges amidst this pandemic. Thank you so much.
Like you also do not have kind words for Unsa. And I'm going to go now to Yusuf. Yusuf, I don't know if you have been able to stabilize your network.
Yes,
But
I tried to
you have been the
stabilize.
Guild President of Islamic University in Uganda.
Well, thank you, moderator.
Yes, and you're running for the presidency of Unsa. Yes, and I'm wondering, Yusuf, if Unsa is what is being described here, why do you want to become its president? Why can't you go and become president of Seji Pao, which I've heard that he has now come in to fill the void? So, Kato, you threw very disparaging comments and allegations. You stated that there's too much state interference in the affairs of Unsa. You stated that you claimed that the leaders of Unsa, many of them are just after money and appeasing the state. You also mentioned some incidences during the last election. And now we have heard that because of this, people are looking at alternative ways of organizing, going to Jipao and all that. And I'm just wondering, is what you're describing not a failure of you as student leaders? If you say you attended the last council, for example, as council members, the National Students Council is the supreme organ when it comes to affairs of Unsa. But from what I'm hearing here, even guild presidents seem to be just lamenting. Why haven't you, as student leaders, taken it upon yourselves to advocate and in some cases take action to see that you save the body, if indeed the allegations you're throwing are true? Is this not a failure of you as current student leaders? To you, Kato.
Okay. Once again, thanks, Mr. Becker Matanda. I want to appreciate the previous speakers, Julie, who recognized that it is almost the opposition of political parties that are locked out. Like people, if they get to know that you are from other political parties, like other than NRM, they will always fight you for Unsa. That is true. Even in the previous Kund, it was there. I saw even where you find the military was deployed at Subi, where the election were happening, and they had even to close out for students not to enter, even before we got COVID. Then also I want to appreciate the initiative of the different guild presidents for forming another, like the initiative they have taken to serve the students' interest. Of course, where you find that, for example, there is no platform to serve students' interest, then you can create for your own. You leave the other people, because where you say that it is hard for people, like for those in charge, to give you a platform, then you can look for the way forward. And that is one of the ways people are looking at, even us. Why would you so much be fighting with the state on that issue? Yet even they will not accept such things. But you are saying that it is a student's failure. I do agree with you that on a certain side, it's with the students who has made it maybe to also not progress to where it is. I do agree with you. And as students, I think we have to come on board. We put aside this one is in this political party, or Julie is in NRM, or Agaba is in this party, but we serve the students. We have to come on board. Then also to see how the constitution of Unsa should be changed. But without that, okay, should be amended, sorry. Without the amendment of that constitution, I don't see something that we can do better. I don't see, because...
What is wrong with the constitution? What would you want to amend?
For example, such thing that I see I have not passed through the constitution, but if I recall, I think the petrol of Unsa is His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. You find that swearing-in ceremonies, such things, have to be dedicated by the party and the government. I remember when it was some time back, you find that the swearing-in ceremony was taken to Changwas. These are not allegations. These are not, you find that they are taking it to Changwas. Such things. I get it. There are so many things that have to be amended.
So in your view, what is the problem? What is the, yes, no, just on that issue that you've raised. In your view, what is the problem of the president of the republic being the patron of UNSA? I know, for example, that you belong to the Alliance for National Transformation and your flag bearer was retired General Mugisha Muntu. If he became president of Uganda, what is wrong with him being the patron of the National Students Body?
Now, you see, as a student, as student leaders, a patron should always be there for the leaders in terms of advice, in terms of both financial and also leadership advice. But we find that even some people, they may take, their tenure may end even without meeting the patron for such issues. So why would we have a patron whereby even almost the leadership of UNSA, year after year, you struggle to meet the patron to debate issues affecting students? Where a patron, even it will be hard. You see, as today, if you write a letter as a UNSA member to the Minister of Education, I can assure you it is very hard, even if to reply. It is very hard to reply. Yet it may be a cause for a student. So I see there is a problem that should be changed. I remember it was recently, I remember where even there was a group of UNSA leadership who wanted also to say, first we don't want the patron. But still the president, I think the president, there is a way they connived with them and they said, let's first go to State House and we see what can happen. So I think there should be restructuring of that constitution by amending it. Also amending it, you find that coordinators for different regions, they are also minding about money, but not students' interest. Because you find the coordinators, even there are those who have been there for a long time, even they are not. Why would you involve someone to be a coordinator? It is even not a student. You find Simanyi Uganda, Simanyi where, for this Simanyi greater what? Even someone who left school long ago. A farmer somewhere is the one who is the coordinator for UNSA. So those are the issues.
I will put it to you, Kato, that as far as I know, the coordinators are teachers. And when you're a political leader, you need a technical leader. And the technical leader, it's not about their being students or not. So don't you think that it makes sense to have coordinators in districts who are teachers to offer technical support to the body?
Yeah, it may be necessary, but they can, like the way, for example, here we have someone who is like Fahi and Makerere for us. We have.
So we are now not seeing you, we are seeing the roof. Maybe you can remove the video.
Okay, now you can see me. I do agree with you that there should be someone who can offer advice to such people. Like here in Makerere, we have what we call a guild advisor. We will always have to advise the students on certain issues, but having coordinators in those regions, you see those coordinators, we should agree that they are always there for monetary issues. For them, they have their bargaining powers. They bargain, not for the students. For example, here at Makerere, if it is a matter of students, it has to be concerning the student. They will always decide. But let me tell you, during winter elections, you will find.
Kato, are you saying that you don't have a dean of students at Makerere who is not a student?
There is a dean who is a student, but he does advice, and also there is consultation. But when it comes to direct decision of the students. It is the students that make a final decision. But you find, for example, if we want to go and meet a certain the Unsa delegates in a certain region, it is that coordinator that decides for his team. Even some of them even hide the delegates. We know that. So I think back to the point what I was doing, that we need constitutional amendment of the Hunsa to see that Hunsa can be put into the hands of students. Even today, if Hunsa was in the hands of students, they would look for the way forward to have the 32nd Guild leader, the students leader, Hunsa leadership. But as of today, the people you meet, they don't mind. So no, I don't think there should be amendments for that.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll be coming to you, Kato. But allow me go to Yusuf. Yusuf, you say now that you have a better network. We would like to have you to explain to us why you're running to offer leadership at the highest level to a body which has been described almost as inconsequential and irrelevant.
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Is it now clear you can hear me?
Yes, we can now hear you. Go on.
Thank you very much. I will first appreciate my fellow colleagues who have endeavored also to say something. Really, you have asked a very interesting question, that why should I waste my time to come and offer leadership in a body that has almost collapsed? Leaders, people should come up with the solutions to problems. I treat the status quo of UNSA as a rotten institution, but as a concerned student, and basing on what UNSA has done to this nation, Mwaso has brought up great leaders like you yourself, His Excellency Matanda, the likes of Honorable Lilian Agaba, and other colleagues. In fact, if we let this body collapse to the end, we may fail to get such people who may be great people of our country in the near future. So we should come up and we see how best we can as well offer leadership to revive this body, and we revamp it as cited on earlier on by my colleague Julia Muhumuza. But going back to the theme of this discussion, we see that there are a lot of factors that have made UNSA to lose meaning, to collapse, and almost shining away. One of them is that we see there is abuse of rule of law. We know very well this is a body recognized by law, already provided for in the Education Act. It has...
Yusuf, you seem to have muted yourself. Please unmute.
It has its own constitution it has to follow, but we see that the concerned authorities have not respected these laws which are in place. People, whoever takes over leadership, wants to turn UNSA into his own project, and they turn it out to start just embezzling money from this institution. They fail to appreciate the minds of the framers of these laws as to why they thought of coming up with this institution. It is in UNSA where the concerned people like the executive secretary and maybe the serving president and other NEC members will fail to come and account for what transpired in their tenure. And you will never see any concerned authority bringing these people to books. And this is one of the reasons as to why we, the students, we are saying this time around, enough is enough. We have trays on our own and we should fight this battle. Then too, there is also selfish.
Please unmute.
For example, we see leaders who have come into leadership, they promise a lot. But the moment they get into leadership of UNSA, they start thinking of how best they should enrich themselves, how best they should make connections for themselves, and how they should be the gods of this association. For example, last year when we experienced the first lockdown, we as guild presidents, I mobilized my fellow guild presidents, and we said, we are seeing a lot of things happening in the education sector, but we cannot do anything much. Let us engage UNSA. We made the good president of Metropolitan, His Excellency Moses. We wrote some documents and we asked him to go to UNSA and present them so that they can be presented to the Minister of Education. When these documents reached His Excellency, the Aptangazas and the team, they thought we were fighting them. They sat on the document, they threatened us as if we were wisecking, yet we were raising pertinent issues affecting the students of the country. So we see that the selfish interests have been substituted, have been forefronted by those who take over the leadership of these institutions. Then there is also that government interference. I'm sure that it is the happiness of the government seeing UNSA dying away. Because there is no any government in this world that would want to see students' body rising and becoming more strong and powerful. It creates a threat to those in authority. So when such institutions of students, when I talk of students, you know what students can really do. So when the government sees that such institutions are collapsing, to them, they are not bothered anyway. I'm telling you the truth. That's why if the government was really having interest in this thing, wanting the students to be represented fairly, would have already constituted the leadership. But because the students' movements happen to be quite threatening to the sitting government, so this government will fight as much as it can to silence this. We see what happened to Obote and Anusu. What happened to other leaders like the likes of Metanich and other people, or the students' movement, and even in Tanzania here. So the government also has made sure that it interferes in the affairs of the students. Not only the government, we've also seen the other political parties also having interest in UNSA. You saw what happened in the regime of Honorable Lilian Abba. This was purely mature politics. We see political parties having interest, and when political parties come in, then it will have lost the meaning of being students-based, being a non-partisan institution. Rather, it will be turned out to be almost an institution for political parties. And once this is welcomed, then it affects the institution, the credibility, the relevance, the sustainability, and the perpetuity of this institution. And even the students themselves will, of course, not be fairly and fully represented. Then there is also failure to account of what happens in UNSA. For example, we have the current NEC that has been in leadership since 2019, that leadership of His Excellency Byakutangaza Ezra. But since up to date, this board has never wasted any single minute, unless to go either on a national television or on a radio, or to call the students leaders or the students and at least tell us what has been happening. You know, what is it? It would be very okay even if they would have told us and told us lies. It would be okay. But you've seen that they are very silent. And so we've seen contributions being made. For example, during our nominations, they put a requirement that for any candidate to be nominated, he must present a check that shows that his or her institution has subscribed. I am telling you, checks were flowing at UNSA Secretariat. Now, recently, when we made a follow-up to the executive secretary, that what has happened to the contributions we made prior to this, before this COVID, this lockdown, he told us there was around 49 million, but all man has been served out. We've given people allowances. So you see that they are much willing to eat, not to put this money into the proper usage. And if a student happens to hear this, really, do you expect a student to continue having interest in this? So failure to give accountability by the NEC, by the executive secretary and other bodies, really you see that the board will almost collapse. And also, going back to the issue of the rule of law, we see that even the concerned bodies under UNSA constitution, they have failed to perform their own mandate. For example, we have the board of trustees, we have the patron himself, we have the district coordinators. These people are already provided for under UNSA constitution, but they have failed to to make a follow-up, to call these people to account for what they have done, and they are almost silent. So if these people whom we think they would be the last people to ask to resort to, they are silent, they are not performing their duties. They have rather taken over responsibilities which are not provided to them under the UNSA constitution. It is really absurd seeing a board of trustees coming in usurping the powers of the UNSA speaker. Really, you see, this is really challenging. So the abuse of rule of law in this country, somehow, it is almost affecting some genuine and innocent associations like UNSA. Then there is also that monetary. We see that the politics of this country has been monetarized. So we see even whoever wants to take over leadership of UNSA, someone has said, Mr. Kato, that you see coordinators would want to sell delegates to you. So a candidate who is a student and a coordinator who is a teacher, who is a government earner, would want to sell these delegates to a student. The moment you don't give a coordinator money, my friend, you will not access these delegates. What do you expect if such a candidate has invested in money to be given leadership once he goes there? Do you really see this candidate again coming back to serve the students, yet he had first buy for them? Then what we've done, we as concerned guild presidents, we have almost engaged in a number of activities. Recently, we have come up with over 9 petitions. We have petitioned the Minister of Education, the chairperson of the Board of Trustees. We have petitioned the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. We have petitioned the IGG. We have petitioned Honorable Nakalema, the leader. We have petitioned the Shadow Minister of Education and the Education Committee and other concerned authorities, and even ISO. We have petitioned them, the documents have reached them, and we are calling them, please, there is something happening in UNSA. This is the time for you organs to come up and react. Now we've called these organizations, more so IGG, to come and carry out a forensic audit in UNSA. Want these people, the ones who are now in UNSA, to be summoned by the park. Let them go to parliament and audit what they have done. Really, it is touching. Let us be the heroes. Let us fight. For us, we have decided to become heroes, though we may not benefit from the struggle. Because heroes more so don't benefit out of the struggle. But it is those who come after the heroes are the ones who benefit. So you've asked that why should I pick interest in this? I've picked interest in this because I know this is a rotten thing. Now, if I come into leadership, together with my colleagues and together with the students, let there be a link between UNSA and the students. There is a very big gap. That's why many students in this country don't know even what about UNSA is. What is UNSA supposed to do? Is there any UNSA constitution? Students are in that state not knowing anything, and I have not even picked interest in this. So we have decided to take a cause, and all candidates, Julia Muhumuza, Amponda, Kenneth, you are part of this struggle. I pray don't relent, don't relax. Let's continue fighting. I believe something good may come out of this. We want to be the whistleblowers, of this, that we the students have risen, and this is what we are saying, there is something happening in UNSA. We believe if something happens, really, students of this nation may be served and have a clear representation, because really it is really touching. You know, it is really touching.
Yes, Yusuf. Yeah, you see, I have given you, space to go on, and you know, since most of you are candidates, I'm not very sure whether you're not just campaigning or you're speaking real issues. But I'm sure you're going to go into office, and the youth roundtable will bring you back here to account, and we have all these statements recorded, so know that we shall hold you accountable. Yes. But I wanted to ask you, you say that you have petitioned the various government bodies, yet in your submission you said that one of the challenges UNSA faces is government interference. Is that not a contradiction? Because you're petitioning the same government. And I actually intended to ask you, how can you say government does not want UNSA to operate when the body is created by an act of parliament? And this came from government. And I know that the government actually hosts UNSA and the Minister of Education. And many of the activities you have had, including the last council, is funded by government. So what do you say about that? Is it indeed contradictory that you're saying government does not want the body to be effective, but at the same time, you're petitioning government institutions.
Well, thank you very much. For example, in my position I'm contesting for, we are 4 candidates. We got communication, we as those who are vying for presidency, from NRM Secretariat to us, with the candidates, telling us that they are organizing primary elections. We should first go and attend to primary elections, and out of primary elections, they will front one candidate. You see the interest of this, and I happened to inquire, why is it so? Someone whom I will not disclose told me the government has interest in this. We cannot just let this body go like that. Such statements struck my mind. But we've asked, why have we petitioned these government organs, yet we say the government partly may not be interested in this. We believe there are other organs of the government that may be perform genuine roles. And for example, we served the government, but at the same time also serve the other opposition side. Because if you serve the Shadow Minister of Education, we believe the Shadow Minister will automatically come on the floor of Parliament and present this. We believe PAC, since it is chaired by the opposition people, will summon these people. And once this is happening, it will go viral. It partly may shake those who are not speaking anything, they are very mute, to do something for the students. So we thought of taking this right, because when in a fight, you should exploit all available channels for you to ensure that you achieve what you may be struggling for.
Okay. Thank you, Yusuf. Allow me now go to Julia. I've given you a fair share of the time because initially you had a network challenge. But Julia, you have heard the statements from your co-panelists, and they don't seem to be very far from the submissions that you yourself made. I like, however, holding people responsible for things that happen. I am still not convinced by the submissions of Kato when I asked him that as student leaders, as members of the National Students Council, what have you done to bring your leaders to order? Because you cannot just lament or run away and form an association when you have a body established by an act of parliament that you can reclaim. When you have avenues, for example, to impeach leaders who may not be serving you, because we know that one of the things this country suffers is impunity. And we know that many people in our communities cannot impeach an MP or impeach the president. But is this so for student leaders? We would expect that at your levels you are exposed, you know what to do, and if a leader is not serving your interests, you know how to remove them. How come then that everyone here seems just to be lamenting? To you, Julia.
Thank you, Council. It is quite unfortunate that all of us are lamenting, yet we should also be held accountable. Like you said, I don't really agree with the guild presidents. Fine, they're really doing some work in GIPAL, but GIPAL cannot be recognized as much as UNSA would have been if it is revamped. UNSA has a better platform in form of fronting students' needs. So I think as the guild presidents try to put in efforts to advance their agenda as student leaders and be there for the students, I think UNSA should be a part of that agenda in the GIPAL as well as the speakers in the association. Because now you see, we the candidates have always been in meetings, Zoom meetings. We've had very many sessions that go up to 3 hours by the speakers' chambers of the 31st, UNSA and UNSA leadership and the ES, and very many stakeholders. And it has always not been a straight path until a point where we reached, like Yusuf said, that we realize UNSA is now becoming a deathbed, so we need to do something. So that is when the efforts come in to try to petition as much as we can. And ahead of it, we have very many plans as considering press conference or even marching on the streets. Because fine, by the end of the day, we may actually not be qualified for the election because most of the leaders actually most of the universities are voting new leadership, so which disqualifies others for from participating. There are very many things concerning UNSA now, to a point that we know, as being part of this struggle, we are no longer looking at whether we successfully have these elections or not. But most of our hopes were actually in directly participating and having these elections. You know, once you have power, once you have the mandate, you can create such a huge impact, which couldn't easily be created when you do not have the mandate. But regardless, now we really notice that it is hard now for us to have the mandate or these elections, considering very many factors and politics into play. So right now we are just trying to push as much as possible to have UNSA back on the map, so that people recognize there is a body UNSA, there is a body that needs to be checked, there is a body that needs to account for certain incomes and so on and so forth. And also ahead of it, ahead of petitioning, ahead of the press conference, the activism we shall have, we are looking at creating our own spaces to still be there for the students as much as we can, as student leaders or as once delegates of UNSA. Because now when Collins talks about amendments, I think amendments now should be in form of, you see how UNSA says that if you take over office, it should be 1 year. Yes, it should be 1 year, and all that should be respected. And also, not to forget is the amendments we need now are the time you take over office should be the time you leave office, because imagine we have elections as late as September, and by December, as per the constitution, we need to be out. I don't think we should have done what we could have done as if we stayed in office longer. So I just want to implore all the students, this is no longer a concern of only students, leaders, this is a concern of all the students in the country. Very many institutions pay subscription to this body. This is a body that just needs revamping. Other than that, it has the voice, it has the power to represent students in the whole country. So if we can combine efforts as all the students, not only student leaders, to try and bring UNSA back on its map. Because now we do not have any leadership. The people in office by constitution are not supposed to be in office. So to some of us, we do not count them as leaders, because even when they consider themselves leaders, we've not seen them come up and be the face of the challenges that students are facing. They've been silent in many cases. So I just want to implore all the students in the country to join the voices, be a part of everything that we try to do so that we revamp this association. We believe if this association is revamped, so much will be cleared out. We shall have the accountability. We shall have different people have their trust back in the association, and we shall have the students effectively represented. So it's upon us. I think it's enough of UNSA this, UNSA that, because it's already clear right now. UNSA is really worse off than ever before. And it's upon us to do what we can to revamp the association. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Julia, for that passionate submission. I realize that His Excellency Agaba is having a lot of internet challenges. He keeps joining in and leaving. But Agaba, are you here now? Mr. Agaba? Agaba, are you able to unmute and we hear from you? Are you here? Okay, it looks like Agaba is still having challenges. So to you, Kato, you are a guild minister at Makerere University. And I told you earlier that according to the UNSA constitution, as a guild, you are part of the structure of UNSA. Would one be right if they argued that actually the challenges we are seeing in UNSA stem right from the guild leaderships in institutions? Because the strength of UNSA is actually not at the national level. A NEC is just made up of how many people? You know, they are not even 14, they are just 12. But there are hundreds of you. There are hundreds of guild presidents. There are hundreds of district chairpersons. So as we look at the apex, this conversation seems to have only focused on the apex. Can we flash a light on UNSA within districts and within institutions? How vibrant are guild governments? how vibrant are UNSA chapters within districts and within schools? And as you answer that question, I'd like to put it to you that I was actually informed when I was doing some research before this show that the student councils in high schools and secondary schools are actually more vibrant than you guild governments in universities and tertiary institutions. What do you say about this? Could we be looking at the national level, but when this is just an effect of a death, a blow that has already happened to student leadership within the schools, universities, and tertiary institutions?
Yeah, on that, first of all, I want to respond to your last statement, where you said that the school councils. In my high school, I remember I happened to be the chairperson of school council in my school, but I can assure even I didn't know. I did by then, when the UNSA were electing, they even took someone who was not someone. They just pick some schools where they just pick the children of their good. They are the one they take to the district council for election. Even they don't even usually take. But nevertheless, I do agree with you that putting aside the constitution of UNSA that has been also that is not favoring the students' leadership, I do agree with you that also the students' guild in different universities also have failed to play its part concerning the relevance of UNSA and its leadership. Because I believe if today the different guild leaders could put a force, could come out to speak, even as of today, we would have the leadership of UNSA working for the students. Because you can imagine if there can be a national election, if people can go and line up behind in lines and they vote, then why is the problem with UNSA where you have few delegates gathering and they vote as a college vote? But I think also with the guild leadership, we have not done our part for the students' cause, because I don't believe only coming to have a press conference, submitting the petition, whereby even some petition will not be seen. Even some petition will be recorded and they are thrown into the dustbin. They don't reach the people responsible, can be enough. I think there can be some other issues that we can address, other than only the press conferences and each and everything. I do agree, and we need, as with the Students' Guild leadership, to sit on board, not only one university, not only even the government universities, but also private universities, because we should appreciate that all the challenges that sometimes that face the students in the government institutions also face the private, and most private. So we need to sit on board as students' leadership, the guild, sit down, we find the cause, because we own UNSA.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Kato. Your Excellency Agaba, I see that you're saying in the chat that there is more need for us as guild leaders and other student leadership to direct UNSA in a straight direction than us dancing to the tunes of the UNSA neck. We have, for example, paid subscription, but we don't have even any clue about where the money is and how it is being used. Agaba, I don't know if you can unmute and speak to this, because like you have heard from Kato, you know, you're pointing at the neck, but the same fingers could be pointed at you as guild leaders, that possibly the problem is actually emanating from within the institutions. And so because the institutions don't have strong leadership, you cannot expect them to produce stronger leadership at the national level. Agaba, are you able to speak to this? Okay, it really looks like we are having a lot of issues connecting with Agaba. So you'll allow me go back to Yusuf Welunga. Yusuf, you have been a guild president at IU. Could you possibly tell us how the guild at IU has been performing before you even point fingers at the national level? What are some of your achievements within the guild, because there is word that this problem actually starts within the institutions, that you are captured by the university, tertiary institutions and school administrations, you are irrelevant to the students, and therefore they cannot know about you or even UNSA, because as the guild president, you have been the chairperson of UNSA. And Julia was telling us here that students don't know about UNSA. So what did you do in your tenure to ensure that as the chairperson of UNSA in IU, the students get to know about UNSA? Over to you, Yusuf.
Well, thank you very much, moderator. You must appreciate that a fish starts rotting from the head. Once the head rots, even the remaining part of the fish will have to rot. Me personally, what I did, I have engaged His Excellency Yakutangaza Ezra and Minister Ariho on several occasions, raising some of the concerns. There are some things which are happening at my institution, and we thought we reached a point we needed the intervention of them. But whatever we did to them, they were not promising, they were not giving us any response, and we also lost interest in this. But what we had to do was to go back and read the UNSA constitution. It talks of a leadership that should help its people. So we started implementing some of the objectives of UNSA constitution in our leadership. For example, we've been having students, we initially had students who could apply for dead years because of failure to raise tuition to a given amount. And we, as students in government, decided to engage the administration, presented our case, defended it fully, and the administration fully decided to come out and help students to sit for exams with their balances. And a big number of them did exams with balances, and it reduced on the applications of their years. And we told the students that whatever we are doing, it should be championed by the students' body, and that is UNSA, the national body. And partly, the students started questioning what is UNSA. So we're doing certain direct, indirect sensitization or creating awareness to students that there is a body existing called UNSA. This is what's supposed to do, but we didn't want to go on blame games of this. Through the guild leaders, we've failed partly to come together, mobilize colleagues, and front a one voice to other authorities pertaining UNSA affairs. There are other reasons. We've engaged some guild leaders over this cause, but they will tell you, hey man, if we go for that cause, me, I remember I'm on NRM ticket, I'm a candidate on NRM party. So if I happen to join that cause, I'll be seen as a person fighting the government. We've also told them, we also belong to NRM, but this is a genuine cause, it's fully independent from what you think. And most of the guild leaders have failed us. They have failed to join the cause. Okay, because some others tell us we are not ready to join the cause because we are seeing guild leaders of opposition. If we are set with them, then they will fight us indirectly. And if you have people who you think should join the cause, but they fear to join the cause, definitely it will come back to us and will be the failures of this.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I need to bring to your attention that we are not seeing you. I hope you have not imagined that we are seeing you. We are seeing some table all this while. But because your network was problematic initially, we decided to just do with the voice. Yeah, maybe you can mute as you negotiate that visibility. Please mute your mic. So back to you, Julia. As we push at the national level, you have heard the question I've given to Yusuf. The fact is that when you read the UNSA constitution, it envisages a situation whereby the guild governments within the institution, that is UNSA, that's a chapter for UNSA within that institution. And so when you hear Yusuf saying that they carried out activities as a guild government, but then told the students that this is supposed to be championed by the national leadership, I think therein lies a problem. Because if as a guild you champion activities, that's UNSA activities, because you're a chapter of UNSA in that institution. It is not that the NEC should come and start, you could have some joint activities, but the constitution does not seem to envision that it's the national executive that will come and start doing your activities within the institution. So if I may ask you at MUBS, as a chapter for UNSA, what are you doing as we point to the national executive that since 2019 they have not done anything, and they are telling you it's because of COVID? For you as a guild government, what have you done, which we could maybe take as an example, that since the chapter in MUBS has done this, the national leadership could also borrow a leaf? Judy.
I think every institution, apart from sending a delegate to participate in UNSA elections, that is the only business they ever have with UNSA. Why? I think it is okay for every institution to push UNSA's agenda because we are part of UNSA. But again, remember, when every institution pays subscription, they pay it to the NEC, or the NEC leadership is the one that gets this money. So maybe if they redistribute it to have certain activities carried out in different institutions, clearly guild governments would do everything they are doing as them on their own budgets and not for UNSA. So I think if UNSA would regionalize its activities or have most of its activities in institutions, would not be striving to volunteer to play a part in revamping UNSA or for UNSA to be recognized. Truth is, very few students know about UNSA. Yeah. And I think, I think the way
I hear you. I hear you. I just wanted to intervene with the two contributions. To agree that it is true that few students know about UNSA. I remember when I was UNSA president, there are places you would go to and people would say, "Oh, that body still exists." We thought it had died out. But on your issue on resource distribution, I know for a fact that there are regulations that, for example, require part of the money that is collected within the district to remain at the district level, and then it's on a percentage that is forwarded to the national level. This percentage that remains at the district level is supposed to help the district executive committee and the district students council to operate. Why has this conversation not happened between guild governments in universities and tertiary institutions for them to also have part of the money that is collected by the institution remaining within the institution, and then, to facilitate the students council? Because according to the constitution, the students council within the institution is the GRC. And so this, I think, is still a failure on your part to negotiate and see that what's happening at the district also happens within the universities and tertiary institutions. But you may go on with your submission.
Yeah, true. But you see, all that can be achievable if, first of all, UNSA is known. Like, some of the GRCs don't even know UNSA exists. Like, that's how bad it is. Then how then would they really talk about having a percentage of the subscription to have activities done in institution? So if we can start with UNSA being known, personally, I didn't even know that the district attains a given percentage, because if UNSA is also not really that vibrant at district level, then there is need for accountability of where this percentage of money goes and what it is used for. So in the end, all I'm trying to say is if students know UNSA, and it is not such a good time for people to know UNSA because it is very bad, and because every student pays subscription, I feel like UNSA would be known if it's always at the forefront of all the things that happen. If we can have, you see how we have the chairperson NYC always talking about issues concerning the youth, we can have UNSA at the forefront of these things affecting the students, so that we know, yes, somewhere we have a body that is representing us. When I Googled about UNSA, I was told today we are talking about UNSA. So I Googled to see some of the things about UNSA, and trust me, you'll be shocked once what comes up. Like, there is so little to be told about UNSA, yet this is a very big body. So I think for starters, we need to work on creating awareness of this body, revamping it, giving it that energy, because if people know about it, GRCs in institutions would be pushing for this, and also everyone would know that they will be held accountable in different capacities, be it at district level or the NIC leadership. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Julia. I note that many of our panelists are having network challenges. Agaba, how is it now? Are you back? Oh, he has just left. And so I have no choice now but to come to Yusuf. But before I come to you, I would like to update our viewers that we are coming towards the end of this discussion. And if you're a student out there, if you're a student leader out there, you have had the call from your leaders. This is the time to consider revamping your body and having it speak for you. And I know that many of you have comments and views and emotions about the Uganda National Students Association. Please come out on Twitter, come out on Facebook, come out on YouTube, make your comments, reach out to us. We are willing at the Youth Roundtable to give this conversation the space and time it deserves. So even if it means us having further and more conversations, we are happy to have those conversations such that we get to the root cause of what the problem is, and possibly we can get this body back such that it deals with the so many challenges that we have. But now, Mr. Welunga Yusuf, you people have castigated the current leadership squarely, and we have also tried to probe the root causes of the challenges we have. But since I have you who are seeking leadership, let's now speak to the future. What are some of the things you're capturing, say, in your manifesto that you think will enable us? I can see a poster in your background, very wise on branding there. What are some of the bullets, the magic bullets you're coming with to see that we revamp the body?
Well,
as you have heard, many of us have gone in there and come out injured, and it seems nothing has been achieved. Yes, go on.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. One is to involve in campaigns which are not monetary based. Because I know if I put in the money, of course, when I go out, putting in my money back. So I'm preaching a gospel to the voters. Vote me, I'm not giving you money, but I am much ready to offer good leadership to you. In fact, if I happen to go, it also be on my mind that I was interested, not because I bought, no, because of my capability, I will have to serve. That is one. Two is to regionalize UNSA. The reason as why many students of this country don't know about UNSA is that the top leadership has failed to regionalize some of its affairs or projects per region, so that once we have businesses per region, it will be easier for the students of a given region to be involved in this. And if we embark on regionalization, believe me, the awareness and the sensitization of this body to students, it will be fully achieved.
Yusuf, if I can probe you on that, you're talking about regionalizing UNSA, but UNSA is actually in every district, because the region is even far, but UNSA is in every district and it's in every institution. How come then that you are now asking us to regionalize? Is a region closer than a district?
Well, we've had the district leadership, but partly it has failed. Why am I talking of regionalization? Is that we've seen we have regional coordinators, but can you locate these regional coordinators? Do they have address? Can't we establish the regional office? Let's have the regional office. So all districts of that region are answerable to that regional office. That is one. Then two.
Yeah, fair enough. Go on.
Then two is to offer periodical accountability to students. Still going back to that very regionalization. In every region, because you come up with a program, say, after this period, we'll have to come out and give accountability to students that these are the things we have done. This is what we collected from you as students of this region. This is what was saved. This is what it did. And this is what we have. And this is what we are doing. Frequent engagement of with the students of a given region. Then 3, the constitutional amendment. We need to look at this constitution. Today we are failing to have elections because they are telling us we cannot go online elections. We cannot go regional elections. The constitution provides that the council has to sit. Now, let's assume we shall have another situation of this kind, and there is a need to have new leadership. Shall we continue having a neck to stay in power when it's not supposed to be in power? We have the lame students who are not provided for in the constitution. These should also be catered for in this very constitution. The regionalization agenda I'm talking of should be embedded in this very constitution. The patronage part of it, it is very hard to access the president as students because he's the patron. But we can request the president that it will also be better if the leadership of the patronage goes back to the Minister of Education, because this one seems to be more easier to be accessed by the students, since UNSA is a part of the Ministry of Education. That's about a constitutional amendment. And the advocacy of students' affairs is very, very touching. We are in a country where the ministry comes out and makes pronouncement, where the president comes out and makes pronouncement regarding UNSA, regarding students' affairs, but you don't see the representation of UNSA. You don't see the government, the ministry coming out to consult the students' affairs because they believe that we have no good leadership. So the frequent advocacy of students' affairs should be prioritized. Today we have students who have been impregnated, those who have no hope of getting back to school because of other factors I may not mention due to time factor. But what needs to be done? They need hope. They need leaders to come to them, to come on the ground and involve and engage them. That is the advocacy I'm talking of. Advocate for what you think should suit these students. Student circle need to be looked into. Many students may not come back to school because of tuition and other financial factors. We've seen the president going on giving money to youth. Students, we've seen circles everywhere, Uganda and so forth. Can't we also advocate for student circle? And once we have a student circle, which is regionalized, the students of a given region will easily access funds from what is happening today. We have students loan scheme, but the modalities of accessing the loan scheme, we may not fully meet the requirements. We may even meet the requirements, but because of other issues, we may not even access this. But if we advocate for the student circle, purely, our fellow students may be assisted.
Okay, thank you very much. Sounds good there. And Kato, we are coming towards the end of our conversation, so please come on board and give your parting shot. What is the way forward? We have had the problems, we have traced their roots, but now what? Kato?
I'm sorry that I'm going to sign out because of the battery, but the way forward, of course, I'm going to give the way forward, and I think even my concluding remarks. The way forward, I think the guild leadership, in conjunction with the UNSA leadership, they have to call out a massive sensitization, different, both post-graduate, post-secondary, tertiary institutions, to sensitize students and also avail them their projects, their program about UNSA. What is UNSA? I can assure even now today, there are some guild leaders whom we can ask what is UNSA and they are not aware, the way you say it. So I think sensitization, it is my humble request that if some fellow guys who are here who are aspiring for UNSA, they happen to become to win the election, if they are there, if it is organized, then surely you should come on board. You see how you can work with the different guild leadership in different universities to see the way forward in making the relevance of UNSA in different institutions vibrant. That is my first mission. Maybe I can make also, because if we make students to be aware of the relevance of UNSA, everything concerning accountability, each and everything, they can demand for it. But it is very hard to start telling a certain guild minister for Chambogo or for Makerere to start demanding for what even he doesn't. I'm telling even the students out of today don't know that even they pay subscription. So I think that massive sensitization of students is needed as far as leadership is concerned.
So if I may ask you, Kato, who is going to do this sensitization?
I've said, as I said earlier, that the leadership of UNSA in conjunction with the guild leadership of different, when they are working together. Okay. We need collective efforts. We need collective efforts, not only the UNSA leadership, but also the guild. The guild leadership of different universities. We have to do so to make sure that we make, because we have to appreciate, as long as with the students are aware of the relevance of UNSA in fighting for the students' cause, I can assure you, we can demand for whatever that has gone wrong. Maybe that is my final submission, but I want to thank the organizers for this event. It was a great pleasure.
Okay, honored. And you can be sure they will respond. I'll be getting back to you on how to distribute this content to your constituency. And I see that His Excellency Agaba has given us a way forward in the chat. He has really had a network challenge. But he suggests that UNSA should be reorganized from bottom to the top. The student leaders should have seminars with some of the founders of UNSA. This will help to keep the student leaders posted with the mandate of UNSA as a body to the students. So thank you very much, Your Excellency Agaba. Network has been bad on your side. I hope that we can always reorganize and have you on board. But now let me go to you, Julia. We are coming to the end of this discussion and we are speaking way forward. You're seeking to become the Vice President of UNSA, which, by the way, I wanted to ask you, because the UNSA Constitution provides that whichever the gender is for the President, the Vice President shall be the opposite. So the fact that you're going for Vice Chairperson means you have sort of predicted that the Chairperson or President will be male. How is that? What happened? Why didn't you go for Presidents? Did you fear Yusuf here? But anyway, speak to the way forward.
No, I didn't fear no one. It's just that before I aspired, I had pretty so much on my plate, yet I still wanted to be a part of this great cause to revamp UNSA. So that is how I end up as vice. But yeah, anything can happen, and Yusuf finds me as president. So a way forward, I think on top of everything that has been said, when Mr. President Ken says, I think we need to get back and to the founders of UNSA, get to know what exactly their agenda was, and just have this as maybe a training for people who are coming in for the UNSA leadership. But all that is secondary to UNSA being revamped. When Kato says we need to create sensitization, this is up to each one of us, but it's hard to create sensitization or tell people about something that is dying out. I don't know if we get the point. So as we create awareness about UNSA, we need to be fighting for UNSA to get on its way to the top again. And all this is not possible if we do not work together. And then also the leadership of UNSA has to look into inclusive kind of leadership. Usually when these people take over offices, we never get to feel the impact of what exactly they have done. I may not know what the previous governments have done because I've not been a direct beneficiary, but not even the person I know or the person they know knows what they have done. So I think the leadership should focus more on inclusiveness, in that whatever you do, the end result or the end impact should be on the students. If the students felt the impact of the existence or the relevance of UNSA, then UNSA would be known. There wouldn't be any need to create awareness of it. So unless the leadership really does its job and represents students and does it by being inclusive of every student, so that students feel that they are heard and represented and that UNSA is their face. So there really won't be need for creating awareness for it. And then just like Yusuf was saying, there is a diversity of government government programs or projects like students' loans, like government students, and so on and so forth, which need, apparently they're not diversified. So if UNSA can take the mandate to diversify these programs to the students or to its students, it creates a huge impact. Because previously on the last youth roundtable, I say that the number of students in government has been like the same for over the years. And over the leadership we've had of UNSA, no one had even highlighted such an incident. So if the number of people going to school could be increasing, but very few are benefiting from the programs, or these programs are not being diversified. The business students are not receiving student loans and so on and other sections. So if these programs can be, the UNSA can be a voice to the diversification of these programs and so on and so forth, then we would have UNSA back on the map. In the end, all I'm trying to show is UNSA needs to be on the map. The students need to feel and know that there is an association that represents us. There is an association that we pay subscription to, and it's doing its job. But if students are not aware of the existence, then it's quite unfortunate. So it all goes back to UNSA leadership doing what exactly they have to be doing with being inclusive and creating a direct impact to the students. If the impact is felt and seen by the students, then UNSA will be doing quite well. Yes, I don't know if you've been on, but I've shared a couple of things.
Yeah, you have been on. Yeah, you have been on. Thank you very much. I see very brilliant ideas coming in. I really hope whoever is supposed to listen is listening. But allow me now to go to Yusuf. Yusuf, you have about a minute to share your parting shot, and we have already heard from your way forward, so a parting shot. Okay, just as I was saying that, Yusuf jumped off. And our time is up, so we may not have time to get him back, but we had already got his way forward. So thank you very much, Julia. Thank you, Mr. Agaba from UCU. Thank you, Yusuf from IU. Thank you, Kato from Makerere University. And thank you, viewers, for sticking with us. As we always say, we hold these conversations because we want this country to become better than what it is. We want a better future for the children of this country, for ourselves and our posterity. And we think that by flashing a light on some of these institutions that bear the burden of transforming this country, we hope that ideas can come up and failures can be exposed such that we make this country better. We don't hold any bad blood against anyone. And we also reiterate that the views you hear here are mostly from the panelists and not endorsed by this show. This is just a platform for people to express themselves. And we also implore those in leadership. We would really want to hear from you, the members of the National Executive Committee of UNSA. It was, some of you had committed and you didn't show up. The show is available for you to come and tell us. You know, these people are throwing stones. Possibly, there are things happening that we do not know. So we are happy to give you a platform such that you speak back. Yusuf, I see that you're around. Let me give you 30 seconds for a parting shot. Yusuf.
Thank you very much, my brother moderator. And I thank all the colleagues. Her Excellency Julia, thank you for your presentation. My brother Kato, thank you. And my brother Amponda, and my brother moderator for this show. You really have been very, very, it is educative to me, and we are continuing learning a lot. My message to the students, don't lose hope. continue reading. Those who are doing online learning, please proceed. And those who are not doing online, please take time and also go through books, because you may end up forgetting everything. Let's have hope, and let's be careful with our lives, because we are the ones to build and develop this nation. Because if we die today, then it will be a total mess and total loss. I love you all, and I wish everyone a nice stay, and let's fight COVID collectively by observing the SOPs. I wish everyone good day. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Yusuf, for that very parental advice to all of us. And I now want to ask our viewers that please, I know that some questions come up as we have these conversations. Go on YouTube, look for Civic Space TV and subscribe and make your comments on our content. Go on Twitter and Facebook, follow our pages, follow these discussions, and let's take the discussions there. We don't hold these discussions to end here. We want these discussions to go on online. Like it has always been said, the world is looking for someone who has done something, not someone who can explain why they have done nothing. I hope that all of you will be among those who have done something. From me, it's a goodbye for God and my country. And at Civic Space TV, we say freedom always. Have a good afternoon.